Is now the time to start buckling down and buying those cards that you've been wanting for a long time for your PC? Undervalued stars in somewhat lesser known or not as popular sets? Sealed wax possibly coming back with a vengeance? And the age-old debate of pack-pulled certified autos versus in-person autos, rare and scarce cards versus common commodity cards, and what has the better value between those, and what's the market looking for? This is the Wrestling Card Market Watch for October 2022. What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. Thanks for stopping by the channel today. I hope you're having an awesome day and I appreciate the support. Each month I do one of these videos looking back at some interesting sales and cards from the past month, mainly to bring to light some interesting talking points. As always, these videos are not meant to talk about necessarily the highest selling cards or the most popular cards, but again to raise awareness on some talking points and hopefully to make you start thinking a little bit more critically when you're approaching the hobby and your PC and buying and selling. October definitely did not let us down. We've got a lot to talk about today. But before we get into that, really quick, just some reminders of how you can help show your support for my content if you're enjoying this video so far, or if you've enjoyed any of my past videos or podcast episodes. The easiest thing you can do, you're already here, it's free, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and then when you're done watching this video, make sure to check out all the links in the show notes. There's links to the Wrestling with Cards Patreon community, links to my eBay store. I've got tons of stuff available for sale. There's links to my social media. There's links to the podcast I'm a part of, and much, much more. 1995 action-packed WWF Bob Backlund 24 karat gold, graded by GMA 7.5, $88.88. However, a best offer of $15 was accepted. So here we have somewhat of a rarer parallel of a wrestling legend graded for $15 out the door. So why did I pick this card? There's a few reasons. Let's start with the card itself. While I would not say that these parallels are super rare, from doing some casual searches of the 1994 and 95 WWF action-packed wrestling card sets, and just my experience with them, they are a little bit harder to find than pretty much everything else in those sets, with the exception being the Undertaker and Macho Man on-card autos. Next up is the talent on the card, Mr. Backlund, Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund is a legend in the wrestling world, but honestly, I haven't seen that big of a collector base for him. But as I've said before, every card has a home. Every superstar has some sort of collector out there, so clearly somebody was interested in this card. And lastly is the fact that this card is in a graded form with shipping to the buyer of this card for probably less than what it costs to actually grade the card or buy this card raw. Now here come the rebuttals, I can hear them now. Zhan, nobody cares about this action-packed set, you can't flip it for a lot of money. Nobody cares about Bob Backlund, and certainly nobody cares about GMA graded slabs. Some of these points may actually be correct, but here is my point. Now is the time for collectors to start picking up some great deals and putting those in your PC. Those items you've had on your watch list forever that you've just kind of forgotten about. Those items that need to go in those sets that you've been trying to complete for years. With this card specifically, as I said, these parallels are a little bit harder to find. Maybe somebody bought this because they're trying to complete that 24 karat gold insert set. And hypothetically, they just haven't found this specific card at a price they were willing to pay, and then this one popped up. And maybe they don't like GMA slabs. Well, all they got to do is crack the slab, pull that card out, put it in their binder, put it in their box, however it is that they display the rest of their sets, or their PC. Maybe there's a Bob Backlund super collector out there and they just needed this card to go with their other cards because they didn't have it yet. Maybe this card goes into some kind of connected project. I've talked a lot about the different ways that you can collect and how you can relate wrestling cards and images onto the cards to moments in time or memories of other collectors or family members or events. Maybe that's what this person is doing with this card. Maybe somebody out there just needs some practice on cracking slabs so they can resubmit cards. I honestly don't do that. I don't resubmit cards. I've cracked a few slabs to put cards in binders or put them into boxes to go with other cards, but I don't crack and submit. That's not me, but that's what these people were wanting to do. There's a cheap way to practice, I guess. The possibilities for this example are endless, and so are the deals right now. The prices right now on maybe some of the cards that aren't the hobby headlines, so maybe not the gold prism parallels, maybe not the ringside gold or black selects, maybe not the low serial numbered impeccable cards, or the rare AEW stuff. But as far as everything else goes, a lot of this stuff is kind of the lowest price that I've seen it in a long time, especially before the hobby boom. So go out there and complete those sets. Investigate some other wrestlers. Look at those cards from those releases from Fleer, or those Topps 80s releases, or obscure indie sets. anything that you've been a little bit curious on, if you've ever wanted to jump into something and maybe start a new PC or add a card that you've been trying to add, now is the time because the deals are just so good out there. It's a buyer's market. And I'm not saying it's a buyer's market because I'm saying you can go buy these and then sell them next year when the market goes to the moon and make a bunch of money. I'm saying that a lot of people that I've talked to have kind of held out on buying certain cards, some of it low end, some of it high end, when the market was just booming. And now that it's kind of cooled off a little bit, I think now would be the perfect time to go ahead and add those pieces. And then, you can finish your collection or your PC project you're working on at a really affordable cost. 1986 Scanlon's Roddy Piper PSA 5, $385. However, a best offer of $200 was accepted. Roddy Piper is a legend not only in the wrestling world, but I'll say into the cult film following as well. And while I often talk about how people say this wrestler's overrated, this wrestler's cards are underpriced, undervalued, and sometimes that relates, in my opinion, of them not being cardboard irrelevant, this is one of those situations where I still don't understand why Roddy Piper doesn't have bigger sales numbers and a bigger collector base, especially from vintage collectors. Now, I know there are people out there who have some really cool Piper stuff, but you just don't see a lot of talk around him. But let's look at this card specifically. The Scanlon's cards are almost identical to the 1985 Topps WWF, but they are a lot harder to find. And while I said Piper seems to not have a huge collector base, clearly somebody wanted this card. A PSA 5 for $200, very solid sales number. And it's another example of what I talk about a lot. When a card that doesn't pop up every day, a card that's more rare, or a low-numbered serial parallel card, and it fits your PC, or you think it's too cheap, you just gotta buy it regardless of what the grade is. While we all want high grades, we want to get those 10s on all those cards, sometimes the rarity trumps the grades. Just look at the more recent sale of the Jerry Rice Green PMG. Now I know we're talking football PMGs compared to wrestling. I'm not saying from a dollar perspective. I'm just saying from a grade perspective and a rarity perspective, and how the grade did not matter whatsoever. The slab it was in really didn't matter either. It was all about the card, and the slab was basically just the authenticity of it. So the person that bought this card, are they a Roddy Piper super collector? Could they be picking this up from an investment standpoint? As I said earlier, it's a buyer's market right now. And that investment being tied to the rarity and scarcity of this card, along with the talent, as it appeals to the golden age of the WWF and maybe those vintage collectors, as opposed to maybe non-sport fans who like the Roddy Piper movies and any kind of acting he has done or anything else he's appeared in that was maybe outside of wrestling, but maybe a little bit wrestling related. So he has a little bit of crossover appeal there. While both of these could be true, one thing that I think may be shedding some light on the vintage cards that we've not seen a lot of people talk about is in fact the Tales from the Territory series. Are these shows actually creating collectors of legends from the past? And why I say that is I'm starting to see some younger people on social media, no matter what platform it is, starting to post cards of certain legends that aren't hobby headline mainstream cards, or starting to talk about them, showing interest in the history of wrestling. And these are from mainly people that I see posting modern shiny stuff. Does this then translate into more legends in the shiny products selling for bigger values and being higher in popularity? Does that in fact drive these newer collectors back to buying vintage cards? I'm not sure really, but I love to see the kind of groundswell and popularity around the lesser known legends. And Piper is clearly known by wrestling fans, but there's a lot of people that may be just kind of ancillary wrestling card collectors. They know The Rock, they know Hogan, they know Steve Austin, and they know Ric Flair. But do they know Roddy Piper? They probably know Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. But do they know the British Bulldogs? Do they know Stan Hansen? Do they know Bruiser Brody? I'm not sure. All I know is I get excited when I see people talking about the history of wrestling. I'm not one of those guys that likes to live in the past. I just have a soft spot, like I said, for the older wrestling stuff. I think a lot of the newer wrestling as a product, it's all relative, It's different people. It's like music. Different people like different things, and I absolutely love modern product, and I collect some of that stuff. But there's something about old school wrestling that I just absolutely love, and when newer collectors are talking about it, 2 thumbs up for me. 2004 BBM American Dragon Bryan Danielson PSA 10. $1,300. It seems like BBM has really become the staple known product for American collectors for Japanese wrestling cards. Some of the first cards of Sabu, Cactus Jack, and Rob Van Dam, just to name a few, are in BBM products from the 90s. And this Bryan Danielson card falls right in line with those. I think this is a really solid price. I know it's a PSA 10, but it's a pretty high price. I would not have expected this card to sell for that. And I think this card has a lot of crossover appeal within wrestling collecting communities. You have this being a Japanese card in a Japanese promotion, giving a snapshot of his time in New Japan. You've got the appeal for his time in the Indies and Ring of Honor, his time in WWE, and then of course his current day time in AEW. Not to mention this could be considered one of his rookie cards. It's pack pullable. It's one of his first appearance. The only thing that may seem like a little bit of an argument for some people is I believe it was in the same year that he had a Ring of Honor card that came out in a DVD or VHS or something like that. If you have opinion on those two cards or some clarification on that information, leave a comment below to help sort that out for the collectors. So do we see Bryan Danielson cards becoming the next wrestling card hobby chase or the next investment piece? I highly doubt it, but look at this sale right here. From a price perspective, it sold for a lot more than some other first appearance and rookie cards of some bigger named guys. It sold more than some low numbered parallels. It sold more than some people's golds. And this is just a base card. And in my opinion, it's not only a great sale, but it's a great sign for the future of the wrestling card community and the wrestling card hobby as a whole. The fact that a card like this it's a base card, but it's a little bit harder to find than what you may think. Yet it seems like this card could have some long-term impact when it comes to the collectability and kind of the card that people are looking at when it comes to, hey, what's this guy's first card? And again, I like to bring this up that this is a card that's not the hobby mainstream. It's not a gold parallel. It's not a wrestling all-stars. It's just a really awesome card that collectors like. And ultimately, that's what we want more of, no matter what type of wrestling card it is. We want more collectors, and we want more cards being relevant to those collectors. 2002 Fleer Royal Rumble sealed hobby box, $4,950. However, a best offer of $2,000 was accepted. I love seeing a box of sealed wax back on one of these wrestling card market watch videos, but let's dissect this a little bit. Was this actually a good buy? I thought you couldn't flip retail wax or hobby boxes anymore for any money because Walmart and Target and your hobby boxes are just flooded with them now, right? So I feel like this purchase of this sealed hobby box was for one of two reasons. Number one, it could be just a sealed wax collector. Maybe they wanted to add one of these to their collection, and that is an interesting way to collect. There are people out there who just collect the boxes of wrestling cards. They don't rip them, they don't collect singles. They just like to have a box of like all these products. I think it's a cool way to collect. And the alternative, and probably what most people are thinking of, is somebody bought this hoping to rip it, hoping to get some mint copies of the Big Four rookie cards in this set. Again, the Big Four being Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Batista. It's undisputed that this set is the rookie cards for those four. The question with both of those strategies is the person that bought this, whether they're a box collector, whether they're going to rip, how long are they looking to hold this? So if this is a PC perspective, so they are the sealed wax collector, or they just want to have fun ripping this stuff. It's entertainment. They're going to hopefully grade those, get them, put them in their collection. Maybe they're going to complete the set. Whatever it is, if it's PC items, none of this matters. They just paid what they thought it was worth. And honestly, I wish more people would just buy things and not worry about comps and, well, I can save $5 here, instead of just going out and getting what you want. However, if they're looking to flip this box, if they're looking to pull these cards and grade them, and then sell those copies to then make some money, it could be tough if you're wanting to do that in the short term. Sure, you may get some higher grades of these guys' rookie cards, but does that really matter right now? Sealed wax always seems to be a really good long-term hold, especially with the breaking craze over the past 2 years, because it's just common sense. The more stuff is opened, and there's probably literally boxes being ripped every minute now, the more stuff that is opened, the less supply there is. And that's regardless of the product. I see breakers opening, like UK WWF that has like maybe a couple of parallels and no chase cards, no autographs, and people still buy into those breaks. So the product really doesn't matter because there's always going to be some sort of demand for breaking in general. People just can't get enough of opening packages to get pieces of cardboard in them, regardless of the financial repercussion of that. Nothing wrong with that. It is a form of entertainment. I'm just bringing that point to light. But going back real quick to the process of if you're looking to rip this, grade it, sell it, the market on these rookie cards, for whatever reason, has really tanked in the past year. I'm not sure why. These are undoubtedly the rookie cards of these four guys. And not only are they legends in the ring, but they also have some crossover appeal to Hollywood or to other sports. I had a couple of ideas that I came up with. I'm not sure that they're right. I'm never claiming to be right here, just putting out opinions and thoughts. Are they truly appreciating the true rarity over a manufactured rarity being grading? Maybe it's that the market has kind of shifted more to the shiny stuff and not so much the base cards. Maybe it's a bunch of new collectors coming in saying, I want Seth Rollins, I want Roman Reigns, I want Sasha Banks, I want Charlotte Flair. Of course, I gotta throw MJF in there. And not so many people going back and wanting the cards of these WWF guys. Could it just be economics? The market's down. Supply, demand. I'm not sure. It's just some interesting observations that came to mind when I saw the sale of this box. 2022 Panini Impeccable Undertaker out of 22. $7,500. However, a best offer of $5,500 was accepted. From what I could tell, the wrestling card community seems to be on board with the inaugural release of Panini Impeccable for WWE. Now, sure, we can nitpick things here or there about the product, what people like, what they don't like, pricing, secondary market, but overall, I think the community enjoyed this release. But let's look at this specific sale and what this could mean for Undertaker autographs going forward. Shout out to Adam Gelman, who's been tracking a lot of the Panini Impeccable stuff, and I reached out to him about this sale because I think he tweeted something about it. Follow him on Twitter, if Twitter's still around, SC Uncensored. And I've had him on in the past on this channel. You can go check that out in the archives. Find links to all the social platforms there. But he did in fact confirm this card, while it's sold for $5,500, went unpaid. But regardless of that, I did see some other Undertaker Impeccable autos selling. So once I saw that, I figured, well, I'll just dig into those sales. And sure, they were from varying types of cards, different number, different parallels. But most seem like they were selling between the 500 and 2,000 mark, depending on the variation or the rarity. That's pretty solid, right? But then something came to mind. Fitterman Sports. For those unfamiliar, earlier this year, I believe it was this year, hobby world has moved so fast I can't keep track of things. But Fitterman basically became an exclusive type thing for Undertaker to do in-person autographs once he retired technically from WWE. And they were wanting to charge $500 for any Undertaker 1991 rookie card, base card, to be signed at these signings. You may think that's a lot, but prior to that, they were refusing to sign them at all. Of course, I'm sure Fitterman had a bunch of them signed and he was stocking them away. So then they changed it. Okay, we'll do it. We'll charge $500 to the peasants. They should be able to afford that. But I question how many people actually did pay the $500 to get these cards signed. I've seen some of these cards out there, but a lot of the ones I've seen, I think they came out before this Fitterman takeover happened with these 91 Undertaker cards. But then I started digging even more into Undertaker autographs. And I'm talking about autographs in general. Whether it was the Fitterman, whether it's other Panini products, whether it was old Topps products, in-person autographs, on cards, stickers, I was looking at them all. And out of all that variety I spoke of, I was finding a lot of these Undertaker autographs in varying forms, of course, for under $500. So when I was done going down this weird Undertaker autograph rabbit hole, I had some questions. One of them was, which of these Undertaker cards and the autographs on them actually matter from a long-term value perspective? Based on the sales results, it seems like most of the market has decided that when it comes to Undertaker autograph cards, they want lower numbered parallels with on-card autos. And then that brings me to the next question I had. And this is similar to what I just talked about with the Fleer box. And that is, are the rookie cards, whether high grade or low grade, doesn't matter, the rookie cards as themselves, are they starting to take a back seat to the rare, scarce, low-numbered parallel cards? Even if that rookie card is actually on card signed at a show. I really don't have a preference on the stance because I've got a lot of base cards that there's nothing to them signed and graded and I love them. But I also have a huge fandom for rare, scarce, low-numbered parallels, superfractors, out of 10s, gold prism, black 1 of 1, whatever it is. I like both sides, so I don't have a strong stance either way. But it's just interesting that the numbers seem to be speaking for themselves when you look at them. But we're going to come full circle as we close out this video. One thing that I did come to the conclusion is that if you want an Undertaker autograph card right now, it's a great time to buy. If you're not picky and you just want one of his cards signed to add to your collection, get on it. There's a ton of great deals out there right now. As I said, I was coming full circle. Going back to the Bob Backlund card we started talking about. It's a buyer's market. Now is the time. Don't just go out there and spend frivolously. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if there's a card you've had your eye on, send that offer. Try to make a trade for it if you know the person that has it. Go out there and complete the set. Buy that card that you've been trying to get because The prices are very low right now, and as many people know, markets come in cycles. It's going to go up again. So, who knows what could happen with the market, but it's so low right now that if you see that card out there, don't be afraid to be the new comp. Don't try to fight comps. Just add it to your PC. Thanks for stopping by watching the video today. As always, I hope I brought you some value with this, and of course, entertainment as well. If you did enjoy this video or any of my other videos in the past, please hit that subscribe button, give me a like, share this video, this channel, with everybody you know that's into wrestling cards, sports cards, or just some people looking for some wrestling content. And before you get out of here, make sure to check the links in the show notes below for all of the ways that you can help show your support for my content. Patreon community links are down there. Podcast links are down there to both my solo podcast and the Worlds Collide podcast. There's links to my eBay store, links to my social platforms, links to buy me a coffee if you so choose. And until next time, click the videos on the screen for more great wrestling card content. I'll see you there.